So last week on the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur announced that he's running for president. I'm not joking. I wish I was, but I'm not joking. He will be running as a Democrat against Joe Biden. Here is a quote from his announcement provided by The Guardian. "It should not have been me. It should have been somebody else. But unfortunately, it was not anyone else. There's only 4 months left, meaning until the primaries begin. We must change course. He has at best a 10% chance of winning. I'm running as a proxy. I am running to win. But I am also running as a proxy for any other candidate." The first thing I want to unpack here is the doomerism. Yes, Trump is currently leading Biden in the polls, but we are still over a fucking year away from the 2024 election. We just have no fucking idea what the next year holds. For all we know, things can sway massively in Biden's favor, or maybe Trump does actually win the 2024 election. And in that case, okay, Cenk and all of these other doomer pill progressives can smear shit in my face all they fucking please, but at least I'm not the one who pretends to have a crystal ball saying for sure that Biden is either gonna lose to Trump or win. All again based on polling data over a year out from the fucking election. This also doesn't factor out Democrat voters who are dissatisfied with Biden, but will still begrudgingly vote for him in 2024 because they just happen to hate the Republican Party even more. And honestly, I am so sick of people taking polls as gospel. I always use this example, but it is such a perfect example. Look at the 2022 midterms. So many people were saying in the months leading up to the midterms that it was going to be this massive blowout in favor of the Republicans. What did we see instead? Red trickle. Republicans just barely have a majority in the House, and look at how fucking well they're doing at running the House currently, Jesus Christ. But anyway, we think we have such a grasp when it comes to knowing the future of politics, but we really don't. Here's another example. Could anyone in 2017, 18, or 19 even predict the perfect storm against Trump that was 2020? I was one of those people back then when it was clear that Biden was going to be the Democratic nominee, that Biden would lose to Trump, it would be a blowout, and then what did we see shortly afterwards? A once-in-a-century global pandemic, and in response, Trump, a sitting US president at the time, spreading conspiracy theories about how injecting disinfectant supposedly keeps COVID away. We also saw the BLM protests in response to George Floyd being unjustly killed by the police, and in response to those protests, Trump was tweeting shit like, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts," essentially inciting violence against protesters, and statistically, most of those protests that year were peaceful. Maybe 2024 will be that perfect storm year against Biden. I don't fucking know, but stop pretending like you know for sure what the outcome of the 2024 election will be over a fucking year away. And you may remember at the end of that quote, him saying, "But I am also running as a proxy for any other candidate." Cenk's plan is to get somewhere between 20 to 25% of the vote. That will pressure Biden enough to drop out somehow, and that will be the signal for other progressive candidates to hop in the race. I'd like to know how the fuck Cenk thinks that he has the baggage to get anywhere near 20 to 25% of the vote. In 2020, Cenk Uygur ran for California's 25th congressional district special election. You want to know what he ended up getting? 6.6% of the vote. Just a little over 10,000 votes he received. Not even him being the face of the Young Turks enticed that many people to vote for him, and this is just in one district in California, one of the most socially progressive states in this country. You really think that he has a chance in hell at a national fucking level? Oh, and by the way, a Republican won that special election. You may have clout here in the online lefty sphere, but that does not mean that clout translates into real-life baggage. I figured your embarrassing defeat in that special election would have humbled you, but it clearly didn't. Even Robert F. Kennedy, with the baggage of that last name, dropped out of the Democratic race and became an independent. I don't think even he was polling at 20%. Now, he is an anti-vax kook that plays a major factor into why so many Democrat voters don't care about him, but still, if even he knows that he has no shot of running as a Democrat, what makes you think that you do? Again, that special election in California more than proved that outside of the internet, people don't really give a fuck about you. Now let's finally address the elephant in the room. Cenk cannot actually run for president because he was not natively born in this country. He was born in Istanbul, Turkey, and he can't use the same loophole that Ted Cruz used, where I think his mother was born here and his father was born in Canada, and of course Ted Cruz himself was born in Canada. In this instance, I'm pretty sure that both of Cenk's parents were born in Turkey as well. Here's a snippet from the same Guardian article from earlier. Uygur came to the US from Turkey at 8 years old. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5 of the US Constitution says only natural-born citizens, defined by Harvard Law Review as citizens from birth, with no need to go through naturalization proceedings, can be president. Uygur said that he could beat that standard in court. I have lawyered up, he said. I have the same lawyer Bernie Sanders used in both of his presidential runs in 2016 and 2020, mounting strong progressive campaigns. I'm going to the Supreme Court. Either I'm going to win or I'm going to lose. Now, this case is on our side. The precedent is definitely on our side. Now, I am not a fan of barring people who were born outside of the US from running for the presidency either. People who were born in foreign countries and live here now can absolutely still be politically active, be politically in tune with what goes on in this country. While I vehemently disagree with the notion that foreigners cannot run for president in this country, I am also realistic. Look at the Supreme Court we currently have. It is mostly conservative. We have recently seen them overturn Roe v. Wade, affirmative action. Do you really expect Cenk fucking Uygur to set a historical precedent and overturn something that has been enshrined in the Constitution for centuries at this point, and on top of that, challenge our conservative majority Supreme Court, and then they will happily be like, okay, we'll allow this foreigner to run for president. Again, it is something that I would like to see happen, but it is something that will probably never happen anytime soon, if it ever even does in the rest of this country's existence. This whole thing just screams vanity project. This isn't a serious presidential run, it's just a ploy to get people to talk about him and buy his newly released book, which, okay, you got me, I'm talking about you, but this shit is just so fucking ridiculous that I couldn't resist talking about it. This only further vindicates my already long-standing distaste for Cenk and the Young Turks as a whole. What an absolute dumpster fire 2023 has been for this network, Jesus. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Bye-bye.